With the world watching North and South Korea, they agreed to end their decades-long war and move to denuclearize the peninsula. So what does this mean for the rest of the world? For that, we bring in retired Navy SEAL Jocko Willink, who led the most highly decorated special operations unit of the Iraq War, also has a great podcast called the Jocko Podcast. Jocko, thanks for being here this morning. You've seen the developments. Many are calling them historic. They're a first step. Are you hopeful that this will lead to an actual resolution?
Well, I certainly am hopeful, and I think the whole world has their fingers crossed that this turns out in a positive way.
So what has to happen next to turn this rhetoric into an actual solution? Because it's handshakes are great, peace trees are great, promises of denuclearization are great, but the brass tacks, what's it going to take to actually get there?
Well, I think the biggest concern here is going to be egos on both sides, and I think people are going to have to put their egos aside and try and move forward. And I think all sides are looking to do that right now. So, again, I think only time will tell, but hopefully we get to a resolution, and the folks up in 25 million people in North Korea that live in virtual slavery will be freed from that, or at least make some progress. And I think this is a good opportunity for us to as well remember the incredible sacrifices that were made during the Korean War. One of the most brutal environments we ever fought in. So
it's a great reminder, and the desire not to go back to that is why getting to the table, if possible, is so important. Here's what the president had to say yesterday about not being played on North Korea. Listen.
I don't think he's playing. No, I don't think he's playing. And it's never gone like this. It's never gone this far. I don't think it's ever had this enthusiasm for them wanting to make a deal. And yeah, I agree. The United States has been played beautifully like a fiddle. Because you had a different kind of a leader. We're not going to be played. We will, I think, come up with a solution. And if we don't, we leave the room.
Jocko, I understand it's not resolved yet, but how much credit should this president get for getting us to this point?
Well, I think he definitely deserves credit. I think he came to the situation and negotiated from a position of strength. And anyone that knows anything about negotiation knows that negotiating from a position of strength is the way you have to do it. And I think he did a good job of that. I think it appeared to be a little bit too much strength to some people at some times, but I think that got the message across.
Sometimes that's what it takes to get the message across. Speaking of strength, you just released the second Way of the Warrior Kid book. It's a super cool concept. It's called Mark's Mission, Way of the Warrior Kid. Now, I first became aware of this yesterday. My oldest son has read some of those Wimpy Kid books. I'm guessing this is the flip side of the Diary of a Wimpy Kid, the Warrior Kid.
It is absolutely, and that's one of the things that made me write that book. I have kids of my own, and they were getting encouraged to be wimpy kids, and I didn't want them to be wimpy kids. I wanted my kids to be more like warrior kids. Now, that doesn't mean that they're going to be out there being aggressive and trying to make things happen their way. Actually, the opposite is true, and with the message of the book is that if kids are competent, if kids are strong, if kids are able to handle themselves, they'll actually fit much better into society, and they'll have a better lives. And that's what the message of the book is.
Well, unfortunately, our society so oftentimes reinforces the softer qualities, especially among our young boys. You're saying you want to stand up to those bullies, be prepared to do so, be respectful. Those are the types of values you're talking about in this book.
Yeah, absolutely. And I see kids all the time, that start getting down the wrong path. They start playing a bunch of video games, and instead of getting out there and actually learning some martial arts, or getting out there and exercises, or learning how to study, all those things make people feel bad. And when kids are in the world and they don't feel confident, they really end up causing problems for themselves and sometimes, unfortunately, for other people.
That's right. I'm always looking for dirty fingernails. That's a good sign of a kid out there doing something. Jocko, send me a couple of those books. I'm going to send you my address. I'm going to give them to my boys. I love it. Appreciate
Absolutely.
it.
No problem. Thanks,
The book is The Warrior Kid. Check it out. It's awesome.